Hi gorgeous friends from sunny Sydney. Today I want to talk to you about a new show that's on Netflix, and it's got English subtitles, and it's called My Father's Violin. It stars our very favorite Engin, who is I think ideal to play the main cast of this show because he's always played very deep meaningful roles, including his role as Ertugrul in the historic Turkish series where he made box office records and became really famous internationally. So it's called My Father's Violin. It's a tale about love, yet disappointment, ambition, and personal conflict. So it's a drama, and it's about two brothers basically, called Ali Reza, the eldest brother, and the younger brother Mehmet. Maher is their surname. When they were young, they lost their father, and their mother remarries, but the stepfather turns out to be very nasty and very cruel. And although they inherited a violin from their dad, they were not only not allowed to play it and practice playing their violin, but this stepfather would actually hit them and beat them with the violin stick, and they have grown up to have all the scars from all the beatings from this stepfather for the rest of their lives. Now, his elder brother Ali Reza promised him that he would save enough money by doing the odd jobs here and there and get them both out of Turkey, away from this wicked man. Their mother in the meantime was drinking heavily and neglecting them, so they were on their own feet. Ali Reza eventually saves up enough money to buy a ticket, but he could only stretch it to one ticket, a one-way ticket, which he decided he will give to his younger brother Mehmet, and sent him off to Italy, as far away from their family as possible, so that he could start a new life for himself and be free from the torment of their horrible family life. At the time, Mehmet was shouting and screaming when he was on the train, Ali, come with me, Ali Reza, don't leave me. Ali Reza just left him on the train, and he stood back and didn't join him. Mehmet gets to Italy safely, and in the end becomes a very famous violinist, and returns to Turkey eventually 32 years later. During all of that time, he was really hurt from his brother for leaving him stranded on the train and abandoning him, really, to go off on his own and not joining him. He felt tricked into going. He didn't understand his brother's reasons, and he was very hurt, to a point that he forgot that he has a brother at all. Until 32 years later, when Ali Reza develops a terminal illness. Now, he had married a beautiful person who died at childbirth, so their daughter now, called, let me just get this right, I've written it down, is there, that's it, her name is Özlem. She's 8 years old. Now he knows that he's not going to live very long, and if he doesn't approach his brother to adopt Özlem, she will have to go to an orphanage. As it was, he was a street violinist, always living hand to mouth, but still living in their family home that he and Mehmet had grown up in. Özlem was born there and lived there, and lived a street violinist's daughter's life pretty much. So he had his own band, another three gorgeously funny musicians that played with him on the streets, and she would dance and collect money in her cap from the audience. And she had a very, very happy childhood with her father, because all she knew was his love, his tender loving care, and poverty meant nothing to them. They were happier than the richest person on the planet, until one day his father collapses to the ground with a nosebleed and passes away straight away. Now luckily, as soon as Ali Reza had found out that he has a terminal illness, like just a few weeks before he finally passed away, he finds his brother and waits one evening, so once he had finished a concert, he could have a chat with him. And although it was a very hard meeting for both of them, for Ali Reza it was full of emotions. He had loved his brother all this time. He had kept track of all his success. He had newspaper clippings of and photos from magazines and newspapers of Mehmet's success. So he had him close to his heart all the last 32 years. So he was happy to see his brother, but his brother Mehmet was almost angry as to why has he suddenly turned up after all these years, just to tell him that he's going to die, and wants him to adopt his daughter, who he had no connection with, and why should he do this for him? So he says no, refuses and walks away. However, when Ali Reza does pass away, the social services come obviously to collect Özlem, and they three uncles, through friendship that he had, his father's fellow musicians, they decide to approach Mehmet one more time, knowing that his brother couldn't make him. They thought maybe if they go and speak to him, they can stop Özlem going into an orphanage for the rest of her childhood. So they go, they beg an audience with him, they meet up with him, and they say, look, just accept responsibility for her, but we will then come and take her from you and bring her up ourselves. We will do everything for her. If you could just tell the social services that you are going to take responsibility for her, so she doesn't go to the orphanage. He kind of comes away, thinks about it carefully, and his wife, who is a very loving, warm-hearted person, Suna, she begs him to reconsider and take her on. They'd been married for 14 years. They haven't had any children, and they couldn't have children. First they didn't want to, one of them didn't want to, then the other wanted, and vice versa, and then once they both wanted, they couldn't have kids. So this was a golden opportunity to adopt his brother's, his own flesh and blood niece, and they could raise her as their own. And he's very self-centered, or all his, because he was abandoned by his brother, also he thought he was, he learns to be very emotionally separated from everybody else, and only thinks about himself, his music, and that's all he was thinking about. Never really thinking about his wife's happiness, or let alone now this young girl. But despite everything, he agrees, and they go to the social services and arrange for Özlem to come and live with them. Emotionally they bond together eventually, and it becomes a very happy family life. Of course, they had their challenges. His wife is fed up with him and leaves him, albeit temporarily. She just leaves the house, and that actually brings Özlem and him closer together. She makes breakfast for him in the mornings. She's so sweet. She listens to him practice violin, and all in all, they have a very special bond together. Despite everything, he feels inadequate, and one night decides to leave her back at the social services at the orphanage, and drives right up to the building, but then changes his mind and returns home. So, and then another time, because he hadn't really looked at the adoption papers and the personal information on Özlem, she develops an allergy to a pack of peanuts that she buys when he had gone to an interview, and had given her some pocket money to buy herself the peanuts that looked really inviting in the vending machine. So they had a few challenges, and he almost loses her completely, because of Özlem, he writes back to Suna, asks her to come back home, asks her for a second chance, and when she comes back, he asks her to play the piano on the new composition that he had written, that he wanted to use at the beginning of his new show. All these years she had sacrificed her career to support him, but now he wanted her to be equally paying as much attention to her love and passion, which was piano, as he is to his violin. So Özlem coming to their lives really opens up a new perspective for him on things in life. Now the most beautiful part of the story is that the violin that was Mehmet and Ali Reza's father, initially when he gave it to Ali Reza, he put the initial capital A for him. Then Ali Reza gave it to Mehmet as he went on the train, and Mehmet put his own initials, M, on it. And now he presents it to Özlem, saying, here you go, I know you love your violin, and he puts her initial O under their two initials and gives it to her. And that was a very beautiful, touching moment. And she says, look, I know that my brother loved you very much, and that's why he gave you his only ticket. He saved all that money and got you a ticket and sent you to Italy. He suddenly goes, what? And this is the first time he finds out that Ali Reza had only one ticket. He could only afford one ticket, and he sacrificed through brotherly love and gave that ticket to Mehmet to start a new life for himself while he got left behind. And he knew that if Mehmet had known that there was only one ticket, he would have never left his brother, he would have stayed behind. That's why he didn't care if Mehmet got the impression that he has ignored him, that he has abandoned him. He wanted paramount his brother's happiness, even if it meant that he was going to spend the rest of his life thinking that he had abandoned him. So that was beautiful, and that was made very clear at the end. So at the end we see a beautiful concert where the wife plays the piano, and Mehmet and Özlem enter the scene, playing the violin and dancing on stage. So there's a beautiful happy ending. As I said, all my vlogs are spoilers, so I think I've warned you in the comments that if you don't want to know the ending, please don't watch this vlog. But I highly recommend that you watch it. You will love it. It's worth every second of viewing. It's slow moving at the beginning, but it's a lovely 2-hour show just on a very nice weekend night like tonight that you could watch. So enjoy and let me know what you think. Love to you all.